What is up, everybody? Station Pop Pop Boom and Yippee-Ki-Yay, motherfuckers. Super excited to be here to kick off ActionFest 2024. That's right. Each and every summer, we have ActionFest where we celebrate some of the best action movies in cinema history. And this is the absolute best ActionFest lineup that we've ever had. And we're kicking it off tonight with the Die Hard franchise. Now, 3 years ago in 2021, we had a special Christmas in July episode of ActionFest where we talked about Die Hard, the first movie. But this week, we're talking about all 5 Die Hard movies. We're talking about Die Hard. We're talking about Die Hard 2, Die Harder, which is the only sequel to an action movie that's better named than Rambo First Blood Part 2, which is kind of confusing. But then we're going to be talking about Die Hard with a Vengeance, Live Free or Die Hard, and A Good Day to Die Hard. Sure, whatnot. But anyway, this is super exciting. And what's even more exciting is that here on July 1st, as we kick off ActionFest 2024, it is now officially 9 years of PCP, y'all. It's the 9th anniversary of Pop Culture Philosophers. So throw out a station, throw out a pop, pop, boom, and throw out a yippee-ki-yay motherfucker if you've been here since the beginning. And I know I have, and I know this homie has. So to join us to talk about Die Hard, the franchise, it's Jelani. What is up, my man?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker! Yeah, dude, station. Good to be here. I am so glad to talk about Die Hard because I love me some Die Hard. I loves me a lot. This is ActionFest, and this is my favorite. You have Horror Fest, I have ActionFest. This is my jam.
Yeah,
and I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to see about things that kick and explode.
I'm very excited to have you here because when we did Die Hard, the first one, just solo, you weren't here for that. So it's going to be cool to get your thoughts. But the guy who was here is also here today to talk about the rest of these films, and it's Brooks. What is up, Brooks?
What's up?
You excited to be here to talk about Die Hard?
A great action movie with a lot of laughs.
A lot of thrills. It's a great thrill movie with a lot of laughs. Yogi Berra talking about Die Hard, quoted by Tom Scioli. All right. Then we got Joe Corallo in the house. What is up, my dude?
It's true, Justek. Here to enjoy Bruce Willis with all of you. I've even gotten to see him on Broadway, and he signed my playbill for Misery some years back.
Oh, very cool.
I like Bruce Willis, so just throwing that out there.
All right. Speaking of liking Bruce Willis, the last time we did Die Hard, we did the first movie 3 years ago, as we've aforementioned. This dude had a very bold statement in the chat. Tonight, he's here to back it up. It's our man, Link. What is up, dude?
I don't know what I said back then, but I stand by it.
What, you want me to let you know right now what you said? You want me to wait till we get to that movie?
We'll wait till we get to that movie.
Okay, we will do that then. All right, you out there in the chat, thank you so much for joining us here on the 9th anniversary of Pop Culture Philosophers to kick off ActionFest 2024 with the best ActionFest lineup ever. And we're going to kick it off with Die Hard, the first one. From 1990 or 1988, John McTiernan was the director. And we're going to talk about this. I really love Die Hard. I think Die Hard is great. It is one of the quintessential action movies of all times. In the 80s, you had Sly, you had Arnold, you had Chuck, you had so many people jumping in, right? And then they were like, well, what if we made it comedic, right? And then so you had people like Eddie Murphy jumping in with things like 48 Hours or Beverly Hills Cop, right? And you had other comedy stars jumping into action movies, and they're trying to blend genres. But what makes Die Hard separate from all those other movies, and I think the reason why it is something that has lasted and stood the test of time and something that we are still here in 2024 talking about, is that John McClane, he may not be an everyman, but they really did bring down, ground the character a little bit. He was vulnerable. He was hurt. He was going through despair and despondency within the
early
movie.
movies he was.
Yeah, right. In the first one. I'm talking about this first one, right? But that's not something that you really saw a lot from Sylvester Stallone, aside from maybe like First Blood, right? But it's not something you really saw from his movies or the Arnold movies, or definitely not the Chuck Norris movies. I don't know if we'll ever do a Chuck Norris movie again after the fiasco that was missing in action a couple of years ago. But
Terrible.
I love the first Die Hard movie. I mean, obviously, Alan Rickman is the best villain of the franchise. Hans Gruber is amazing. It is a performance that so many other actors have built upon since 1988. Yet Carl Winslow in the movie, nobody ever remembers his actual name. It's Reginald something. What's
Reginald
his
Bell
name?
Johnson.
Reginald Bell Johnson. Yeah.
Everybody knows it.
Fucking,
but
I
me,
watch
apparently.
Family Matters religiously, okay? That
It's
shit,
the
I
first
was all
name
over
that
it.
pops up on the screen, Robbie. No, I love this movie. It's a great Christmas movie. We talk about that all the time, but let's take away all that Christmas bullshit that everybody else wants to throw in. No, this is just an impeccably crafted movie. It's got a great script. The way it handles the hero and makes him grounded and makes him a little bit more everyman than your typical action hero at the time. The idea of playing with the tropes of 80s action movies where they're like terrorists that are there for some kind of like message or some kind of cause, but no, that's all just BS. They're just there to steal some money. What a great movie. What's some great characters, some great moments, some great one-liners. It's funny, it's action-packed, it's a little bit dramatic, and Bruce Willis brings the nuance when he needs to. And we know, because we've covered it here on the channel, this is the movie, and in particular, a certain performance after he gets his feet all shredded and he's on the phone with Carl Winslow, and he's like, he's really despondent in that moment, right? And in that moment, Terry Gilliam said, Bruce Willis can actually act. Everybody knows him as the guy from Moonlighting or the guy now from Die Hard, but that's why he cast him in 12 Monkeys, which I think is one of his greatest performances too. So Die Hard is fantastic for me. Jelani, Die Hard, your overall thoughts and your rating out of 5 possible you digs. And you out there in the chat, what do you rate Die Hard out of 5 you digs? Jelani, kick us off.
Bruh. Now, I'm mad I missed that last Die Hard. I know it was something important that happened, so I know why I missed it. But, bruh, this is my movie. This is Die Hard. I've watched Die Hard probably every year for Christmas for the last 15 years. It is in the rotation. I have this on Blu-ray. I have this on DVD. This is one of these movies where it's incredible. It's a fantastic Christmas movie. It's a fantastic action film. The villains are on point. Even the crazy guy that's mad that Bruce Willis killed his brother. I love that guy. Yeah, Carl is insane. Yeah, I love everything about this movie. Every aspect of it. Alan Rickman is the best character, of course, of the movie because of his Hans Gruber is a fantastic villain. He's just one of those characters where you'll never get someone so sinister and petty as a villain. He is really one of the epitome of evil. Like you're doing it for the cash. Die Hard Visions with his brother. Like I know why his brother didn't like him. It's basically gonna be he's an asshole, and he's always been an asshole, and that's just his life. I like all of the characters. Everyone is the jerk. What's his name? The one that like tells on McClane.
The cokehead guy.
The cokehead dude. Yeah. I can't stand his ass, but I love his character.
His name should be like something like Kyle or some bullshit.
Yeah.
Like that, right?
Yes. Some really, really random like douchebag.
Hi,
name.
everybody. My name is Brad.
Brad
Braddington, right?
Yeah.
Right, Brooks?
I love quiche and play golf at 7:30 in the morning. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, he's just a dickhead, and he deserves to die because he put himself in a position to die. So I liked when he got it. There's so many little things. I love Bonnie Bedelia in this. She's smoking hot. Sorry, I don't care. I'm like, I don't know what he did to piss her off every chance he got, but I guess because she moved and got a better job.
You think his wife is hot in this movie?
I love Bonnie Bedelia, son.
Do you think the mom from Home Improvement's hot too, Jelani? I'm just asking.
Not at all. But Bonnie Bedelia's hot, man. Bonnie Bedelia can get it. It's such a great film. I don't know what it is. It's mercifully short, but it takes like it pulls you in. It doesn't and spits you out when it's done. It's fantastic. The soundtrack is amazing. It's Christmas music. I cannot gush any more about Die Hard. Die Hard is fucking fantastic. So my rating is it's gonna be a 5.69.
Oh,
it's my jam.
Amazing.
Son. You cannot take Die Hard from me. This is my favorite action movie of all time. I watch it every year without fail. It's like kind of like me watching Lethal Weapon, the Lethal Weapon trilogy, except for 4. It's just
4 is fucking good. I don't give a shit what you say, man. I'm sorry.
Trash.
By the way, y'all go back and check out our Lethal Weapon franchise review where we have a good argument over 4. But here's the thing: even though I love 4, Mark from Geeks Unleashed said 4 was his favorite. Do y'all remember that shit?
Yes, I do.
Like he has a weird order with his favorites. He thinks 4 is the best, then 3, then 2, then 1. And I'm like, that is the most backwards ass way to look at the Lethal Weapon franchise I've ever seen.
God.
Love you, Mark, but we know you're asleep because you're in the UK. Anyway, so a 5.69 from Jelani. We also got some perfect scores out there in the chat from Delight, from Verno, from Easy Dick Eric, from 9 Panel Grid. They say it's a perfect film. What about you, Brooks? What do you think about the original Die Hard? What do you rate it out of 5 you digs?
Well, I love this movie, and like out of the Die Hard franchise, this is the only movie I've seen multiple times before. Like it's the only one I was really familiar with because I'd seen the third one, but I was like younger. But like Die Hard is the only one I've actually remember most of, and like it holds up. I love it still. It's great. It is like it's like in that Community episode, like where Abed talks about the restaurant where the waiter doesn't like Die Hard, so that's like his gauge for who's a douchebag. It's like, if you don't like Die Hard, I don't know, man, something's up there. So yeah, I'd give this movie a 5, like, because I think it's fun, dude. Like, just a thrill ride. Like, it kind of created its own kind of genre of action movies in a way, and like it's still the best, I think.
And I think of that, it's coming from 1988, right? Where we are already, some would say, past the prime, really. Or
I love the technology in the first Die Hard with the fucking Nakatomi Plaza and the computer screens and shit.
Yeah. I used to always think that fucking Huey Lewis was in this movie too.
Yeah.
That dude who like acts like the security guard or whatever.
Yeah.
Like totally, like, I mean, it's totally Huey Lewis. Like, if not, it's like his cousin or some shit like that. But in 1988, we may be past the prime of some of these movies, right? And I think we've kind of talked about this before on a previous Action Fest, where we said True Lies is kind of like the end of the 80s action movie, right? So it goes a little bit into the 90s, but this is probably the peak, is the first Die Hard movie. Because now you're able to like as much as I love First Blood, and check out our Rambo franchise review that we did, I love First Blood. There's a lot of nuance in that movie, right? But this movie is able to actually kind of be funny and have a little bit of humanity to it, and also be exciting and explosive and boisterous, right? And you got such a great villain in this movie compared to like
Rickman is like he's so swagged out, man. He's like,
he is.
It's like he's like, I get it. I get why this is the guy.
Got a lot of perfect scores out there in the chat and here on the panel so far. Joe, Die Hard, what do you think? What do you rate it?
Well, I mean, the movie's a paradigm shift. The movie is Die Hard to action movies is Scream to slashers. It completely rejuvenated the whole idea. Movies come out to this fucking day that are it's Die Hard or Die Hard meets. There aren't really that. How many other action movies are out there legit that you constantly hear? Like, at some point every couple of years there's a movie that's like it's Die Hard meets blah blah blah. That doesn't happen.
True.
It's because and again it's very clearly the first Die Hard. No one's like, it's Live Free or Die Hard meets blah blah blah. It's they're talking about the first movie exclusively. It changed the fucking game. There's very few things that come close to it in that way, considering it's low budget. It was the way it's all done. It's all in the tower. It's claustrophobic. Mm-hmm. There's so much energy going on. It has one of the best fucking twists in these movies, where like it was one of those early movies to do that, subvert your expectations, like doing the whole thing where Hans Gruber's like, oh, no, this isn't like actually some terrorist shit. I'm just trying to steal money. Like, that's incredible. Like, because it undermined the whole, like, throughout the 80s, all these Cold War movies of like this like foreign guy has this plan that's going to, there's an ambassador who's going to have a meeting at Nakatomi. Like, it's always shit like that. And this one was just like, bitch, I'm just trying to steal some money. Like, that's crazy that they like so many things are taken for granted that this movie did, because every motherfucker copied it every damn time, every chance they got.
Everyone did it.
This movie, yeah, this movie's quippy, but in like I don't think you get the MCU without Die Hard. Like, the balance.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, like straight up, if you really analyze and break down like the runtime, just a little over 2 hours. It's like 2 hours, 7 or 10 minutes, something like that. Mm-hmm. It's quippy, but it doesn't become a comedy. It's just moments and one-liners. very MCU. The villain, cast an imposing guy that can really do it. That's, takes it straight. Bruce Willis can be like a little campy, a little fun at times, but the villain has to be straight. And Alan Rickman does that perfectly. There's just enough of a romance element to it. Just like an MCU movie. It's an action movie, but there's these other elements in it. And also, I mean, there's elements you see in Batman 89 from this, the whole thing, that he's one of us. And the cops arguing about who is that guy? Who's in there? Get the spotlights on him. We got to get him. Batman 89. Superhero movies all took from this this movie's plot and structure and techniques have been robbed so blind. It's hard to see how it's fucking everywhere. It is impossible to understate the cultural impact this movie had. So obviously it's a 5, but and nothing else has come close to encapsulating that and changing the game in that way, untouched in the action genre, to the point that it fuels other genres. I mean, Violent Night was a majorly profitable film at the end of 2022 that was a real die-hard Christmas movie.
Yeah. What I said was Santa Claus meets Die Hard.
Yeah.
It's a movie. It came out advertising that it was like a movie that came out 34 fucking years before it, and it made quadruple its budget.
Yeah.
I mean, and that is what everyone was talking about that movie. It's it's Die Hard with and that worked. Other movies, that doesn't happen. You don't get that same thing. No one's dude, it's True Lies, but this, to a movie that makes quadruple its fucking budget. Does not happen. It's Die Hard transcends so much. And it is impossible to overstate that. I yield the floor.
I think that Joe just made up for his Minority Report thoughts. Just all right, Steph, we got perfect scores across the board so far. Die Hard, the original. What you think? What you rate it?
As I accidentally interrupted you earlier because I was so excited. This movie actually came out on my birthday, July 15th, 1988. Two classics.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have all said it, articulated way better than I could, and I can agree more. This is a transcendent action film. He's an everyman in a sense where it's he's like a MacGyver, because it's you give him anything and he's gonna get out. He's give him a hammer. Bruce Willis is gonna, John McClane's gonna do something with it, and he's getting put in these situations and he's getting out of them, but it's just by the skin of his teeth. It's not he's invincible and shit like that. You're oh shit, he almost got his ass beat right there. That was a close call. And but at the same time, he just exudes this calmness, no matter what situation he's in, he's good. That's the guy you want to be behind. And it's just all around great, like we were saying earlier, the runtime, Alan Rickman's Hans Gruber. I love this scene. He's on the phone giving demands and shit. He's he named some group and he's I don't know, I just heard about them times. Yeah. I was no, that's so cold, bro. He's very calm and cool and calculated at all times. Very manipulative. I love the scene when he finally meets Bruce Willis or John McClane, and John McClane's kind of I don't know if I should trust this motherfucker, but he sells it so well. Alan Rickman sells it so well that he's fuck it.
He sells it so well, he gives him his last cigarette, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Humanizing with him. But yeah,
there's nothing better, by the way, Steph. I'm sorry to interrupt again, but there's nothing better than, I think I saw a meme one time that made me think of this every time I've watched it since. But Alan Rickman's a British dude playing a German dude, playing a fake American accent in that moment. Like, oh God, you're one of them. Like, it's so stupid.
Oh God. Yeah. Yeah.
Also, but you could totally see that in an MCU movie. Like,
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
easily.
No, yeah, this is a blueprint for, like, Joey, like you were stating, there's so many movies that try to do this to this day. And it's hard to think of a movie in the last, they're going on 36 years, that is compared to as much in terms of when a movie's going for something, you know, what they're aiming for, specifically action wise. But no, yeah, it's just a classic all the way around. Like, it's a banger action movie, but it's also a classic Christmas movie. There's some things I'll get into too that really annoyed me that they took too on the nose. But no, yeah, it's a perfect movie. Yeah, all the way around. Tight script, great cast of characters. Even the dude in the limousine. It's one of the best characters in the movie. The limousine.
He's great.
Oh yeah, he's great.
And the movie that introduced us to Run DMC's Christmas in Hollis, right?
Yes.
Come on.
No shit. I did not know that. But respect
Was
to that.
the
But
movie
no,
that introduced me to it, I should say.
So it's yeah, probably me as well. But yeah, I'll give this a 5. It's easy 5. You guys know this is a classic. Very tight, concise. And I love how it's like the one-liners in this movie never feel like, really, you're never questioning them. They're like, later on in the franchise, you're like, come on, bro. Like, really, this is when you're gonna bust like a one-liner. But the one-liners.
I'm on vacation.
Yep.
We're not there yet. Sorry, not there yet.
But just so beautifully balanced, and that's a hard thing to pull off, you know. So I gotta applaud that. 5 all.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
When we first reviewed this movie here on the channel, I gave it a 4.5. I gave it a 4.5, and at the time I said it doesn't reach the levels of nuance or meaning or purpose as, say, First Blood, right? That's literally what I said. And I love First Blood, and I love the Rambo franchise.
If I was on this show,
but I would say that I think the consistency level is higher throughout the Die Hard franchise than the Rambo franchise, because the Rambo franchise is all fucking over the place, right? The Die Hard franchise, to me, even though I've had this disdain in my head for Die Hard 2 my entire life, and we'll get to that here. So basically what I'm saying is this. I think I have been convinced by the panel and by my rewatch and by just thinking about this movie and the transcendent legacy, as Joe would put it, right? That you're right. We don't have an MCU without this movie, right? And if we don't have an MCU, what are our superhero movies like? You know what I'm saying? Are they the early 2000s model that died out really quickly before the MCU was able to like bring it back? Is it the DCEU, the Snyderverse, which as much as some of us may like them and some of us may not, it just didn't work financially, commercially, critically, you know? This is one of the most important action films of all time. I think it's as important as The French Connection, and I gave that a fucking 5.
Yeah.
Now, I do think The French Connection is maybe a better crafted film, but this, for what it is perfect. So I'm going to go 5 you digs as well. Give it a perfect score. Those one-liners, those quips, it's quippy without being obnoxious, right? Like, you know, Joe, back in the fucking late 90s, early 2000s, I was a big Joss Whedon head. I even owned a fucking t-shirt and the Star Wars logo that said Joss Whedon is my master now, and I feel really embarrassed by that, right? I really do. But I wore that shirt all the fucking time because I liked the quippy shit, right? But man, it's gotten way too over the top now, but it does, a lot of it goes back to Die Hard. Now, you can say that there are things like McTiernan's last film before this one was Predator. There's elements of that in Predator, but it's a little bit more of a serious kind of thing. I don't know. Die Hard has this like lighthearted approach that it's not super adult, but it's also like, I remember being a kid and being really fucked up by the whole feet in the glass thing and all that stuff, right? Hans Gruber's great. That scene of him falling, that dumbass shot that everybody always does, that green screen shot, his is still the best. It's like ingrained in my head. I can visualize it easier than I can visualize my own fucking face.
Saw it coming. He never saw it
coming. It's actually really good. And
on purpose.
My favorite thing is this. It's a transcendent action film. Like everybody has copied and mimicked it since, and it stands the test of time It's absolutely a baller. It's a banger. It's a 5 you digs across the board, 5.69. A little bit of extra credit from Jelani to give it officially from PCP a 5.169, dudes. Station. It's one of the highest rated movies here on PCP. By the way, there's my Steelbook Die Hard collection, all 5 movies in one nice slender Steelbook. Pretty dope.
Nice.
All right. 1990. We have Die Hard 2, which some people call Die Hard 2 Die Harder. Die Harder was actually the tagline, but on the Blu-ray that I have, it actually calls it Die Harder, which is ridiculous. It's like the dumbest name ever, Die Harder. Like, that sounds like a parody. This movie feels like a parody, but not in a funny way. But at the same time, here's the thing. I have always hated this movie. I remember the first time I watched this movie, and you got Death himself, Station, from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey,
William Sadler,
doing like nude Thai fucking chi. And you know what? I could handle that back in the day. I can even handle it now. But the thing that gets me is when he like uses his like fucking karate moves or whatever the fuck to like turn off the TV with the remote. It's so stupid. It's so cheesy. But on this rewatch, I actually liked Die Hard 2. And I think this is the first time in my life I've actually liked this movie. But I will say this. It's kind of like, Joe, you were talking about the MCU being inspired by Die Hard. You know how like then the MCU gets repeatedly inspired by itself and it winds up just getting too quippy and trying to do the same thing over and over. Die Hard 2 repeats bits from the first movie. And now here I am 43 years on this glorious earth, this glorious existence in this cosmos. And I am getting so tired of movies repeating the bits that worked in the previous films. It's over and over and over. And I'm so worried about the Beetlejuice sequel because the latest trailer just seems like, oh, you remember this bit in fucking Beetlejuice? We're going to do it again. Right. And I'm getting tired of that. Right. But what I appreciated in this movie, because it does repeat the same bits, you know, you get Carl Winslow in there. You're doing this. You do the yippee-ki-yay. That becomes like the thing that he says at the end of every movie, you know, blah, blah, blah. But you're literally just kind of doing the same tread a little bit. But on this rewatch, I realized they're adding a little bit of extra tension to me with this whole, like, all the planes in the air. Yeah, fucking Miles O'Brien up there, by the way, flying one of those planes. Some of these henchmen, you got John Leguizamo and Robert Patrick, or two of these
T-1000, and they use him as a henchman.
And Luigi.
Bullshit.
And Luigi up in this
There are a lot of
motherfucker.
people in this movie, man.
And you got the dude from West Wing and Good Times, man. I love him in this movie. He was just cracking me up. William Sadler as the villain.
Yeah.
I don't think that the villain is the strongest in the movies, but he's not the weakest. I actually like the plot. I like the twist here, but to me, it's like they're trying to play the same beats. It's almost like a cover of the first film, but they add enough difference there. But there is a moment while I'm watching this movie, I'm like, does anybody in this fucking movie like each other? Like, everybody's just like yelling and fucking like venomous at each other. But overall, I'm going to tell y'all this. This is the first time in my life I've ever liked this movie, but I do still think that fucking Jelani, I know you got your thing about the Charlie's Angels explosion and how bullshit that is. The explosion of the plane in the ejector seat is such bullshit. That dude is dead. That dude is so fucking dead after this. Like, and in every movie since, and in the last two, it's really bad.
Man,
like,
he's really
Tom
dead.
McClane should be
the last movie,
dead,
he's
bro.
really dead. He should
No
be
shit.
dead, or like every bone in his body is broken. You're dead.
But I'm going to tell y'all this. Die Hard 2 isn't as bad as I remembered it being. I actually had fun watching it. And it's also a Christmas movie yet again. And they try to amp up the Christmas. They do the same damn version of Let It Snow at the end. They're just repeating the bits too much for me. I think it's one of the weaker films in the franchise, but I liked it significantly more than at least one other one. What about you, Jelani? What do you think about Die Hard 2? Die Hard.
I'm mixed on Die Hard 2, Die Harder. And it does say Die Harder in the beginning of the movie. So technically they were getting on it. They were like, Die Hard 2, Die Harder. So I'm mixed on it because it's more the same in some ways. He is trapped in an airport. There is a sense of claustrophobia in certain parts of it, especially when he's going through those tunnels and things like that. The villain's okay. William Sadler's okay. He's not. He's no Hans Gruber. John Amos is awesome because you think he's the good guy, and the twist is he's bad. But I knew the second I saw him, even the first time I saw this movie, I saw this one in the theater. This was like 90, so I was big into watching movies at like Madison Square 12 and all that junk. So I was watching movies, and this one, I kind of knew he was the bad guy. He was just too gruff, too much of an asshole to not be the bad guy. Dennis Franz as the security chief of the airport. He's a dickhead, but he's a dickhead in everything. He played the same character in NYPD Blue. He's just the same guy. And I like the good deed he did at the end by tearing up the ticket. So like it's little things like that I enjoy, because I like Dennis Franz being that type of character, like not believing him and all that stuff. And Fred Thompson's in it. Fred Thompson plays the same character in every movie he's ever in. Rest in peace, Fred Thompson. But yeah, he does play the same character in everything. Yeah, I'm just a big, gruff Southern man trying to figure out what the hell's going on in this airport. You know, and I thought he was in on it too for some reason, but he wasn't. And there are a lot of cool scenes, like what's his name, the asshole reporter. Every time, like I like how he gets tased. I love all that. Bonnie Bedelia is still hot. She can still get it. That big hair, that big 80s hair, man. Something about it. It's like, yeah, mom hair. She's awesome. I don't know what it is, but she's still hot. And they're having their problems, but they're trying to get over them in Die Hard 2. So I think that's cute. John McClane has now realized that he is only put on this earth to kill bad motherfuckers. And he's still trying to he's still got his sea legs at doing it. Of course, the other movies will prove us, you know, that as time goes on, he'll become a super badass. But he's not there. He's almost there, just not yet. He just knows how to survive. He's still the survivor that we remember from the first movie. So, like I said, it's kind of mixed for me. Like, the music's okay. They amp up a few other things. It's a bigger setting for him. They pull out more stops. My favorite character is the Marvin dude. That's the one with all the maps and stuff that are in the airport. I don't know what it is about him. I think I know a couple of guys that are like him, and he's just, I don't know. He just has everything together. He looks like he's all put together in this little room that he's in, trying to help out as best he can. And I really liked him as a side character. There are a lot of great, like I said, there are great characters in it. It's okay. I've never hated this movie. This movie has never bothered me. It's all right. So I mean, it is kind of a generic action movie in a lot of different ways, but it's passable for me. So I'm gonna give this movie a 3. This is a 3 at least. It's average. It's okay. It ain't terrible to me. It's just it's Die Hard 2. Die Harder. That's it.
All right, a 3 from Jelani. And as Eric points out, this is directed by Rennie Harlin, who did Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master, which is the second worst Nightmare on Elm Street film, in my opinion, not counting the reboot, because then it would be the third worst. Did the Adventures of Ford Fairlane, Die Hard 2, of course, Cliffhanger, and a beloved classic here at PCP, The Long Kiss Goodnight, which we're big fans of, and one of Jelani's favorite movies.
That is one of my favorite action movies as well.
Probably
and also
his
a great
best
Christmas movie.
Yeah, and it's probably his best Christmas movie. I mean, it's probably his best movie and his best Christmas movie. Jelani, thank you so much for your thoughts. 3 out of 5, you digs. Brooks, what do you think about Die Hard 2?
Well, this is one I'd never seen, but I remember the consensus amongst most people I knew on it being it was all right. They're wrong. This movie sucks. It's like, what if we make Die Hard again, but boring and dumb? And I don't like it. I just don't like it. There's this moment of hope I had, when it shows the bad guy, when he's doing his like nude aerobic and shit. I'm like, oh, cool. Maybe this will be an interesting, but he's not. He's dumb. He's boring. Like, they use the T-1000 as like a random henchman, and like he's just gone. Is like it's a very basic action movie. It does have some like cool stuff in it, It does have some Die Hard stuff, but like I was so bored with this movie, and I was like, when is it going to be over? So I give this movie a 2, just for like the Die Hard name alone. I think
all the shitty ass movies that Brooks is like, it's alright, I'm gonna give it a 3. And like
two.
Die Hard 2 is like
Iron Eagle.
I love it.
Yeah.
Iron Eagle.
Yeah, Iron Eagle may be Brooks's most detested fucking movie, and I don't understand that. I think Iron Eagle's way better than Die Hard 2. But why do we love it so much when Brooks doesn't like a movie? We're just so excited for your misery, Brooks. I love it. All right. Very fair thoughts, though. Very fair thoughts. Those are my thoughts my whole life, pretty much what you just said, Brooks. This year was like a slightly different thing. Okay. Joe, what about you? What do you think about Die Hard 2?
I hadn't watched it in a very long time, and I fell into that consensus where everyone was like, "Oh, Die Hard 1 and 3 and fuck 2," and like, not at all. This was so much fun. I was not bored at all. It's obviously not the best Die Hard movie, but there was a lot of stuff in it that was just fun. And it's like it's a cookie cutter sequel. It's I mean, I think it's a better sequel than Home Alone 2 Lost in New York, which is literally beat for beat like the same fucking thing. At least like this is a little different.
Yeah, but Home Alone 2's got Tim Curry in it, bro. Okay.
Yeah, he's not in it as much as I would like him to be. Like, I kind of wish the movie was more about like him and Kevin McAllister, and then like,
I think I get Home Alone 2 and Clue mixed together sometimes, man.
Fair, but no, I had fun. Again, it does exactly what a sequel is supposed to do. We blow the budget a bit. We have more explosions. We have more violence. We have some crazier stuff going on. The stakes are now higher. Like, this is like an international incident in a different way. Like, it does everything it's supposed to do. When you have a movie like that did as well as it did, and then you do a sequel, like, it's hard to not play it safe at that point. It would be weird if they didn't. Like, I mean, we are talking about reality. And as much as like I personally would enjoy them going in a weird surrealist route after that, or like really going fucking crazy, or David Lynch's like Die Hard or something, like, as much as I would personally love that, it's hard to like knock a movie for being like, oh, fuck these guys, man. They saw an incredibly successful, influential movie, and they wanted to do the same thing at that point one more time. Fuck you. That's a weird reaction to have, which is very rooted in hindsight. If you go back and you watch like stuff that like Siskel was saying, it like Ebert did not like the first Die Hard movie.
Well, he's a piece
like,
of
which again is insane. and Siskel, whereas Siskel actually really liked Die Hard 2 for all of the reasons I'm saying. He was just like, it was a sequel. It did its job. It blew the budget more. It raised the stakes. It's the same kind of thing, but everything's, a bit more. So, and this might be the most fun I've had watching Die Hard 2. Because again, I went into this being like, I mean, I remember everyone, kind of. So I'm giving this a 3.5.
Ooh, a 3.5 from Joe Corallo. Holy shit. That actually surprises me. I'm really okay. Brooks gave a movie a 2. Joe Corallo gave it a 3.5. What world are we living in right now? The world of Die Hard 2.
It's pretty crazy.
It is actually.
It's because Die Hard 2, there's some things that don't make sense. Like, why would a metal detector go off with the shit in your brain? Shit's not lead. Lead in your ass, shit in your... What a weird fucking line that just like lingers with you the whole day after you hear it. You're just like, what was he thinking? How does that make any what?
Yeah.
Lead in your ass or the shit you... What? Like that is one of the biggest reasons for me to that it's a full 1.5.
I was thinking of that line too when I watched it, man, when it happened, because he said, like, what does he say? Like, what sets up the metal detector first? The lead in your ass or the shit in your brains, right?
The shit in your brain, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like the one-liners are for the most part substantially weaker in this movie, which is part of what cripples it. But the action set pieces and stuff are still good.
Dude, also plus when they actually like blow up that plane, like that's like probably one of the darkest moments in the entire franchise, man. Honestly,
Yeah.
when you think about it, he just killed like hundreds of fucking people in cold blood, and nobody could do anything about it. Even though John was up there with his little fucking torches trying, it didn't work. Steph, what about you? What do you think about Die Hard 2? We got some interesting conversation going.
This is one of my least favorite out of the franchise. I'd say it's my second least favorite. Just straight up 5 is hot garbage fire. But
okay, I'm glad you. Okay,
we were trying to keep
because I was like,
until we got there. Okay,
let's get there. We're not there yet. Dear God, we're not there yet.
This one to me is not much better. It's like, you know what? First one was a Christmas movie. This one is a Christmas movie too, but we're gonna add snow. It starts to put him in these. With the first one where he's getting by the skin of his teeth, this one he's like fucking hanging off of helicopters, landing on fucking flying planes, barely miss. It gets more bombastic, but not in the best way for me. I guess that's how you do a sequel to, but it seems very contrived. We're definitely just trying to cash in, follow a formula. That's cool. But I think you can do a sequel and not do that and still have it be successful. This one I was with Brooks, where I was just kind of like, when's this gonna be over? Like I get it, and just that ending where he's like, Merry Christmas, and it like kind of gives him a close up for no fucking reason. Gives like a half a second shot of Bruce Willis. I thought this was a terrible step down compared to Die Hard 1.
No, 4 is fucking riveting, but 2, when's it gonna stop?
You know what? But see, for 2 started that whole thing where they put him in these crazy bombastic situations, but at least 4 does it better, in my opinion. It's not so questionable. They pull it off better.
No, but we'll talk about how you're wrong later.
Yeah. So, sometimes it take Monday.
I love this fucking Steph Joe feud that's starting to brew. I think it's happened ever since Minority Report, man. I'm telling you.
No, I have nothing wrong. I know people, like my parents are wrong about shit. I got friends wrong about all sorts of fucked up stuff. But it doesn't prevent friendship.
World of Warcraft.
I felt you were trying to convince yourself at a certain point that it wasn't as garbage as. But this movie,
I got convinced myself. I drank my Kool-Aid. I'm good here. I don't have to convince myself on anything.
He's got his Nike strapped on, bro. He's ready.
I joined that team. I'm good.
But compared to the first one, it's bad. It's not the worst, but that's not saying much because one of them was just absolute garbage, and it's oh my god. But yeah, this one gets a 2.5 for me.
Okay.
Compared to the first one, this is such a step down. You can try to justify the weak half-ass shit they did with this. The rinse and repeat moments. They changed it up just a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's weak, and they could have done better. You can justify it, but it doesn't make it right.
The box office justifies it when it made more money, but yeah.
The garbage movies make. Have you seen the Fast and the Furious franchise?
Yeah, no, I haven't actually.
Oh, hold on now. You're about to cross the fucking lines here, brother. Okay.
I refuse to do that franchise review because it's garbage.
Fast and Furious 4, 5, 6, and 7 are fucking amazing. Okay, I'm just gonna say, and way better than Die Hard 2.
What the franchise has morphed into, like
better than Die Hard 2, sure.
4. They all. I can't. you know, I know in one movie they were going through like hotels in Dubai. One movie they went into space. The other one, Jason Momoa is in it. That's all I could tell you about the movies. Like, you know, they're not.
Dude, and Jason Momoa just is so glorious in that film. All right. So, all right.
Yeah.
I agree with pretty much almost everybody here. Like, honestly, like I agree with Jelani, where he's like, you know, it's it's good. In fact, I agree with Jelani so much. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 you digs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, I would have given it a Steph or a Brooks score of a Brooks 2 and Steph a 2.5 back in the day. But I actually had more fun, like Joe did this time for the first time.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the difference too, right? When you your whole life pretty much are thinking of this movie as the worst and it sucks, and you watch it one day and you're like, huh, I had fun that time for some reason. Like, am I wrong?
I was convinced, like, before I rewatched it, like, I mean, I'm probably gonna give that like a 2 or something. It's Die Hard 2. And like after watching it, for whatever reason, I was like, wow, I don't know.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's probably been decades of people shitting on this movie that you know, like I was just so like, well, this is gonna suck. And I was like, it's a cookie cutter sequel, but like, what else do you fucking want from Die Hard? You know? So
yeah. I just wish that would happen with something like The Exorcist 2. But every time I've watched that movie, it sucks. And we got to do it again this year, man. So anyway,
I wish The Exorcist 2 was good too. Yeah. I do
Die Hard 2, I'll give it 3. I think it's good. It does have some rinse and repeat stuff, but it was better than I remembered it. So I think it's I. So for me, a 3, as well as from Jelani, 2 from Brooks, 2.5 from Steph, and a 3.5 from Joe. That's a PCP average of, I don't know, what is that, like a 3.0169? Sounds good to me. Let's just go with that, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, let's go with that. It's average. It's all right. But then 5 years later, 1995, John McTiernan comes back. By the way, we're going to be talking about another one of his movies in 2 weeks, Last Action Hero. That's going to be a fun review. I've not seen that movie since the 90s. So this is based on a screenplay called Simon Says that they took, Fox bought, and then turned it into a Die Hard movie, right, is what they did. And I can feel that in this movie. I can feel that there are 2 movies in this movie trying to compete for what movie this movie is trying to be. Is it Simon Says or is it Die Hard 3? That being said, it's universally acclaimed as the best Die Hard sequel. I would agree with that statement. I fucking love Die Hard with a Vengeance. I loved it since the first time I ever saw it. I've loved it every time I've ever seen it. But this time, unlike Die Hard 2, it shows a little bit of its flaws to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Die Hard with a Vengeance is able to tie itself to the first movie with a brilliant performance by Jeremy Irons, second only to Alan Rickman in the franchise as best villain, right? Totally.
Because it's his brother.
He's his brother, but once again, they do that fucking twist, right? That Joe was talking about where, oh, it's all about revenge. No, I just want some fucking money.
Money.
Right? But the way that ties in is so cool. When I was watching it, I guess it'd been a few years since I'd seen it. I had forgotten about the Harlem scene, right? And then I was like, well, this is 1991, right? I look at him like, this is 95. I'm really shocked that they did that actually in 1995. And they play it for comedy a little bit, right? So some of the really hard-hitting themes, and just earlier this year we talked about Do the Right Thing on this channel. So there's no way to watch this movie and be like, well, they're trying to play with those themes, but in a very, like, Do the Right Thing's a funny movie that's also playing with some serious themes in a serious way. This movie's not playing with serious themes necessarily in a serious way, right? It's kind of being flippant with it at times, but that wasn't really what even bothered me about the movie. Well, I'll tell you what bothers me about the movie. I think this movie drags once the twist is revealed that they're just after the gold in this place, right? It starts dragging a little bit. It starts focusing on Simon too much, and then it veers away, because the most interesting dynamic to me in this movie is Samuel L. Jackson and Bruce Willis. Like, it's an Amos and Andy type thing that they're playing with here that's actually working, but they don't actually utilize it enough. But Samuel L. Jackson, this is one of my favorite performances from him. I think it's great. John McTiernan comes back to do this film after the Die Hard 2. He did a great job with it of doing something that's connected to the first movie, but a different movie. We're finally in New York. And like in the first movie, you're in this really tight quarters. You're like in this one tower. You're all over New York in part 3. So I liked seeing that. I liked seeing John McClane actually have a partner to kind of like vibe with and kind of like play with, and you have a chemistry that's off. But then, you know, the ultimate point of the movie is that these two dudes wind up that they're on the same side because it's all about saving people's lives, right? No matter the color of the skin, but it doesn't dive too deep into that nuance because it plays it for jokes. But at the same time, I still think this movie's pretty dope. I love Jeremy Irons in this movie. I love Samuel L. Jackson in this movie. I love Bruce Willis in this movie. I think it's funny. I think it's fine. I think it just drags a little bit and it doesn't quite go far enough. If you want to be bold and do these things, like talk about the racial situation in America in 1995, do it. Right? Don't try to play with it, but just like actually do it and do it in a, I don't know. Because it's hard to kind of take me and put me back in 1995. Because in 1995, I thought I was 14 and I thought racism ended in the 60s. You know what I'm saying? So like, we have learned our lessons since then. But Die Hard with a Vengeance to me is still the best sequel. It's still a very solid movie. And I like it a lot. I really do. Jelani, what do you think about Die Hard with a Vengeance?
I love Die Hard 3. It is amazing. It is the best sequel of the sequels of Die Hard. I love Samuel L. Jackson in this movie as Zeus. He's angry, but it's misdirected in certain ways. It does deal with policemen. And to answer, I guess I'll go back to Billy. Yes, Billy, I do enjoy cops in film, although I hate the police. I hate them, by the way. Fuck the police. But something about John McClane, he gets a pass. He really does get a pass. He's just this, he is an everyman schlub guy. He's down on his luck in this movie because he didn't call his wife. He's drunk and he's suspended. Basically, he's about to get fired off the force. I don't know what he did before, but I'm pretty sure it was some Die Hard 2 shit. I don't know. Even though he went through Die Hard 2, he should have got like a Congressional Medal of Honor from somebody. I don't know. I mean, he stopped an international incident, so I'm thinking he should have gotten something for that, or a promotion, or something. I don't know. He shouldn't be this down on his luck, I don't think, by 3. But it does show him at a low point where they use him the best way they could. And this is still John McClane. He is still as awesome as he ever will be. He is enhanced by Zeus being there because this plan would have never worked. And on top of that, I think Simon is stupid because Simon should have just left it alone. If he had left John McClane alone to begin with, he would have gotten away with his plan. His plan would have worked. And it would have been perfect. And John would have been none the wiser because he'd been drunk and stupor in his house. He would have never been there. Don't call him. Why would you even call him for revenge? And if you did, there were like 9 times where Simon could have killed him. Easily. And he didn't. And it's funny to me. Those are the loopholes I didn't like. But this movie, to me, is still fantastic. I love it to death. I mean, we could say things about racial injustice and police brutality in this film, or the way police treat cops, and how the city itself reacts to police officers, things like that. But I put that aside because this movie is awesome. It has a train wreck that's awesome. Or the subway train crash is amazing. The way Simon dies is fantastic. I like the mute lady. She's insane until, I just love how she acts during this entire film without speaking.
Lady?
Yeah, she's nuts. Colleen Camp's in this movie and she's goofy. She's randomly goofy. She was Tackleberry's wife from the Police Academy movies. There's so many good things I love. I love the captain, the police captain. I love his mustache. I love how he's in control most of the time. I like everybody in the police station, all the cops in the police station. I love every one of their characters. It's like they should have been with him like during this entire thing. Like they should have had this group of people working with John McClane, along with Carl Winslow, of course. he should have transferred.
Yeah, why they drop this motherfucker out, man?
Yeah, I don't know why he's not there.
Every movie he calls him just to get some advice, at one point.
He has to do something. You know what I'm saying? And I this is a great movie, man. It does drag after the twist. After you find out about they just want the gold, it does drag a little bit. And the weird part about them being on the boat, how they got on the boat, they should be dead. How they jumped on the boat, they should be dead. There are a lot of things in this movie where I'm just like, why? But all in all, I love this film. It's not Die Hard, so I give it a 4.5. Just because it is I love this movie. I can't give it I can't say I give it a 5 just because it's not Die Hard. Die Hard is too clean for that. So yeah, definitely 4.5.
4.5. One thing I didn't like about Jeremy Irons, I guess I should say. Jeremy Adams is a comic book writer.
Yes.
The hair on the back of his neck doesn't ever touch his neck, and I don't like that. Like, I guess that's the style back in 95. I don't fucking like that. Like, no, I don't like it at all. Like, it's like your whole look right now, super Lynn, heroin chic, no sleeves, that's fine and all. Bleach hair, that's fine, but like the fact that that bothers me. 4.5 from Jelani. What about you, Brooks? What do you think about Die Hard with a Vengeance?
Well, like I'd say I've watched Die Hard with a Vengeance when I was younger, but technically I watched a television edit of Die Hard with a Vengeance because I remember the scene where he's wearing the sign. It said, I hate everybody. So when I was a kid, I watched the movie and I was like, why is everybody freaking out about that?
Yeah.
Because what was funny is they can change that because that wasn't actually written on the sign. They left the sign blank to put it in digitally in 1995. Yeah. They did that on purpose, like to not actually have anybody looking around and being like, what the fuck is going on here? You know what I'm saying?
Willis? What's that sign say?
Bruce Willis dies in 1994 while filming Die Hard 3.
Even Samuel L. Jackson couldn't save him.
I love it. Samuel L. Jackson's like, these motherfuckers about to kill you, right? Like, you can tell he's like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, I did like this movie. Like, I still like this movie a lot. It does have its problems. Like, it has a few issues, but like, I love the Gruber, connection. I think really helped this movie. And the fact, like, I'd forgotten that Jeremy Irons was playing Simon Gruber in this movie. I was like, oh, it's so perfect. And yeah, I think McClane needs a Gruber. So like every Die Hard movie, the villain should be like a different Gruber. Like, yeah, you've got the Elsa Gruber being next to one, like their kid sister. Like to me, the Die Hard movies. So it's kind of interesting to do this kind of thing in the movie, but it's like you said, they never really go all the way with it. So I give this one a 4. It's still good, but not quite Die Hard 1.
Yeah.
All right, a 4 from Brooks. I think that's very fair and honest. What about you, Joe? What do you think about Die Hard with a Vengeance?
Well, kind of, I'm sure it will be a little different on this, but similarly to you, whereas I went into Die Hard 2 being like, oh, this is going to suck, and like was pleasantly surprised, this movie fell pretty flat on its face for me compared to when I was younger and all that. The Rachel stuff ages so poorly. Like, it's so distracting now. Like, that guy would have blown Sam Jackson's fucking head off trying to pick up that goddamn phone. Like, that made no fucking sense.
Oh, yeah, that cop would have killed his ass. Scene. Yeah, he'd have been dead.
Like, and there were a few other scenes there. Like, it's like,
yeah.
But they made it, and they did it through a lens. And I know I'm getting a little I'm getting a little political here, but it's because this is the fucking movie that we're talking about. It's shot in a way, and the lines are delivered in a way to make it be more like, come on, black people, white people are okay, and that like fucking rubbed me the wrong way. In the movie, I didn't really care for that approach to it, but beyond that,
I understand.
No, I got it. Yeah, no. So it was like that was weird, but like it was. This is talked about, but this was like a reworked Lethal Weapon 4 script, and it's hard to unsee that when you watch it. And also, Speed came out a year earlier, and this is very much ripping off Speed. Like Simon Says, pop quiz, hot shot, like all that stuff. So this movie, what hurts this movie for me is whereas Die Hard 2 is cribbing off of the first Die Hard, this movie is just as guilty, if not more so, of cribbing off of non-Die Hard things. Where this is Lethal Weapon meets Speed with some Die Hard paint on it. It's not really Die Hard. I like it more than I don't. The chemistry between Sam Jackson and Bruce Willis really saved the movie, but then you get stupid shit where it's just like, unlike any of the other Die Hard movies, it's like, dude, I just want to see you kicking ass and figuring shit out, and you're like, you're pouring water into jugs back and forth. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Like,
I like that damn problem. I love it.
I'm still confused by that
But,
one.
like,
I still don't know how they fucking solved it, but whatever.
But yeah, so like there were the puzzles and the quizzes and stuff. Like it didn't work for me. It felt kind of childish. Again, very Speed, very like we gotta drive from here to there and all that stuff, and all the, like any movie that does this stuff in New York, they always get a bunch of stuff wrong. They would never ever in a million years have the entire police force go to all of those schools. They would be letting all those schools know they need to look for anything suspicious, and if they have something suspicious, you call and we'll send more cops than necessary, because they do that a lot anyway, to the situation. So again, there were fun bits. I think, yeah, so it's mentioning that, like the driving, like I said, I was going through the park, like all that stuff, that was fine. The going behind the ambulance thing is one of those things where it was like, this makes absolutely no sense if you think about it for more than 2 seconds. Like, this plan wouldn't work. Like, how are you timing it in a way where it makes sense and you can wait long enough where it's like so. But yeah, and Jeremy Irons is very good in it. So like those performances, and again, the chemistry, this is the liveliest we see Bruce Willis again in this franchise. After this, he's like a fucking cadaver mumbling, and just getting thrown around like a rag doll. But like here, he's like vibrant. He's very energetic. He really plays off well on Sam Jackson. So I'll give it a 3.
Jesus Christ, Joe, you're surprising me tonight, man. I'll tell you that. A 3.
If it was a better movie, I'd give it a higher score.
3 from Joe, who gave Die Hard 2 a 3.5. So that's interesting.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to deal with this for the next year, just so you know. Here,
I deal with being right. I deal with being right every fucking day, Robbie. It is my cross to bear. It is my burden, and I do it happily.
Steph, as the only black man here on the panel, I want to know what you think about Die Hard with a Vengeance.
What I do like about it, I like that the rapport between Sam Jackson and Bruce Willis works well. It introduces that sidekick element, and they end up copying that for like the next 2 films, giving him a sidekick after this. I like Jeremy Adams. I think he's a great next villain next to
Irons.
Jeremy Irons shit.
I know, I keep doing that too, man.
I do like that he's in New York this time. Like he's in his own element. This is the first film that showcases that.
not trapped in a building this time. He's like out in the city.
It's much more, where the second one is, it's a little, I know they're escalating the scales just barely. Like this time he's at an airport and he's on airplanes. This one, it's like he's moving around, and I can appreciate that. But after a while, this one kind of, it's like after, I guess, the reveal, this one is kind of like dragging, and how it wraps up, well, the way Jeremy Irons' character goes out, is just, I feel like an injustice to how he was portrayed. You could say that he was almost too cocky, and was drinking his own Kool-Aid, but I don't know. I just felt like he wouldn't have been so. They established him. He wouldn't have been so eager and greedy to be under those circumstances, to fly that helicopter under there and try to get that. And the way Bruce Willis takes him out, just one shot. Didn't like that too much. I did like that Bruce Willis was miserable in this one, and the other ones he's kind of like on the cusp of it, life's almost beating him down. This one you see that life's beating his ass down, like he's never been in a worse position. So it makes his plight or his struggle, especially with the hangover, to get all this shit accomplished that much more endearing. But then there were certain elements with like the sidekick that I don't think worked, like with Sam Jackson. It was just kind of like, there's like a few instances in the film where they got split up and somehow coincidentally came back to each other, inadvertently. I know it's an action movie, but that stuck out to me, or stood out. And there was a certain point where they're like tied up, and Samuel Jackson's like, I didn't even know that motherfucker, talking about Jeremy Irons' brother. And it's like, motherfucker, you've been running around with Bruce. You can't complain now. You've been in the thick of it with Bruce Willis this entire time. You had plenty of opportunity to step back and not be involved. Like, don't cry foul now. So in that aspect, I think that they ended up working, certain movies ended up working the sidekick thing in a lot better, seamlessly. But that did stand out to me. And I feel like the last 45 minutes of this movie, maybe 30 minutes, is just kind of like, and especially when we get to the end and he gets taken out so easily, it makes like the last 40 minutes of the movie feel like that much more of a drag. So I'll give this one a 3.69. I think it introduces a lot of cool elements, but it feels like the sequel that 2 should have been, to be honest, organically, thematically. Mm-hmm. But there's also a lot that works against it. But it's more enjoyable overall than the cons.
Once again, I agree with pretty much everybody here to varying degrees, right? I like the movie, but there was an element that was disappointing to me on this rewatch. And most of it was, once the big twist happens, it slows down for me just a little bit. And we lose focus of, to me, what really makes the movie work, which is the dynamic between Sam Jackson and Bruce Willis, right? So to me, I'm going to go 3.5. So that's 4.5 from Jelani, right?
Yep.
A 4 from Brooks, right?
Mm-hmm.
A 3.5 from Joe.
There's a 3, I believe, from Joe.
A 3 from Joe. My bad. And a 3.69 from Steph, and a 3.5 for me, for a PCP average of 3.73. 69 dudes. So, nice. All right, we're getting there. We're getting there. We're about to have a lot of fun as we talk about Die Hard 4 and 5. And but before we do that, we're going to take a quick break here. Intermission, everybody. Go get your smoke. Go get your drink. Whatever it takes to make you think, because we're about to get into 2 of the most puzzling entries into the Die Hard franchise. Live Free or Die Hard, and a good day to Die Hard. Coming up here on PCP Movie Night, ActionFest 2024. right, everybody. Welcome back to the Die Hard franchise review to kick off the 10th year of PCP, or the 9th year, I should say. We're leading into our 10th anniversary next year. This is the 9th anniversary of PCP, as well as the start of ActionFest 2024 with the best ActionFest lineup of all time. We're kicking it off with the Die Hard franchise. So far, we've had some great discussions about Die Hard 2 and 3. We all jerked the fuck out of Die Hard 1, but Die Hard 2 and 3, some of us are like, you know what? That dick looks a little dirty to me. I don't want to fucking touch it, right? Some of us were all over it, but then vice versa on the other one. So now we're going to get into some, that was a weird analogy. Anyway, so now we are going to be talking about Die Hard 4. A lot of people like to call this movie Die Hard 4.0, but it's Live Free or Die Hard, directed by Lynn Wiseman, who we will know from the Underworld series, which sucks, and from the 2012 Total Recall film, which I've never seen, but heard that it sucked as well. I'm going to tell you all this. I really like Live Free or Die Hard. I fucking do. Like, I love this movie. And the main reason why I love this movie is because it's got Timothy Olyphant in it. Timothy Olyphant, to me, is fucking dreamy, comedic, and intense at the same time, right? I started crushing on him in 1999 when I watched Go, and he played the drug dealer, right? I loved him in that movie, and every movie that he popped in, whether it was Girl Next Door or whether it was Gone in 60 Seconds, the remake, like I made a note of it, right? And I feel really bad that I've only ever walked out of 2 movies in the cinema. And one of them is a Timothy Olyphant movie, and it was Hitman. But y'all know why I walked out of that movie, because the movie fucking sucks, right? But Timothy Olyphant is amazing. And there's a movie from back in the day, too, called The Broken Hearts Club that I adore. And it's something I still have on DVD, and I treasure it because that movie is so good. And I love Timothy Olyphant. I love the Santa Clarita Diet that he did with Drew Barrymore. But really, my favorite performances from him are in Justified and in Deadwood, because he has the ability to be like just this like normal, sexy looking dude who's kind of funny, but he shows an intensity in things like Deadwood and Justified, like a roiling furnace underneath those eyes, right? That comes through a little bit. I really like his villain in this film. I think he's the 3rd best villain in the Die Hard franchise. I love the idea that we're taking John McClane, because this is 2007. We're talking about 12 years after Die Hard with a Vengeance, right? So John McClane's kind of getting up there in age, right? He's like us. You know what I'm saying? He's got to make sure he takes his vitamins. He's got to schedule those doctor's appointments we don't want to schedule. You know, he's having to do all that kind of shit and deal with a new thing, which is a cyber threat, right? I think Justin Long is really good in this movie. Like, this is before he became the Justin Long that we know today as being the dude who gets fucked up in every single horror movie that he's ever in, whether it's like Tusk or Barbarian or Jeepers Creepers or anything like that. I like Justin Long in this movie. I like, what's her name? It's Mary, what's her name?
Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Yeah, I like her as, finally seeing one of John's children grown up, right? I like that bit. It's got the aesthetic of a 2007 movie, this post-Matrix kind of aesthetic that we have. It's also highly, highly influenced by the Bourne Identity, which had changed action. Like, Bourne Identity is kind of like the Die Hard of the 2000s action movies for me. Like, a lot of people mimicked Bourne Identity and still do today, right? So, but here's the thing. I don't think it's the greatest movie. There's a lot of shit that happens in this movie because of we got to ramp up the action. It's 2007. We're competing with Fast and Furious. I don't even know if the Fast and Furious had actually hit the level that they were going to hit at this point, right? But they're competing with things like Bourne Identity. This is before the MCU. This is the year before Iron Man and Incredible Hulk come out, right?
Yeah.
And the action is ratcheted up to such a point where it is ridiculous that John McClane and Justin Long survive this fucking movie. like
They
at
don't.
all.
They
Like
shouldn't.
there's so many way too convenient things that happen. It's also of the time where every action movie had to have villains that knew parkour, right? Because that was like the thing, right? To see somebody like jumping around. Why did they never get a parkour actor to actually play Spider-Man is beyond the fuck out of me. However, I like this movie. I like the aesthetic. I like Maggie Q in this movie. I like all the nerds. This was the only time watching this movie, by the way, and I like it more and more every time I watch it, and I appreciate Timothy Olyphant's performance, in fact, more and more every time I watch it. But this was the time where I was really annoyed by Kevin Smith. Like, I was super annoyed by Kevin Smith. When I first watched this movie, I was like, Kevin Smith's in a fucking Die Hard movie. But now I watch it, I'm like, fucking Kevin Smith's in a fucking Die Hard movie. Get the fuck out of here, right? He's like overdoing it, right? There are elements about this movie I don't like, and I get why it's not necessarily a good movie. But to me, it's fucking fantastic. Most of which is I want to fuck Timothy Olyphant. Like really bad. Okay. So Jelani, why don't you tell us what you think about Live Free or Die Hard?
All right. Yeah, I know Joe don't like this movie, but I love this movie. I love this one. I'll explain why. John McClane has gone through Die Hard, Die Hard 2, and Die Hard with a Vengeance. He has gone through some shit, and he's a little older now. This is the movie where John McClane is the most fuck it he has ever been. This is John McClane, peak John McClane. This is John. Now, he may be a block of wood. He may be doing a lot of things, but that man took out a fucking helicopter with a car. That's how mad he fucking was. Which, by the way, he should have broken every bone in his body and had like scars all over his face from jumping out of that car.
He should have died so many
He
times.
should have died like 9 times as well in this movie. He should be dead. And he's not. Like driving that tractor trailer, which is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Like away from a fucking a raptor plane. Oh no, he should be dead. He should have been dead. Like I don't know when he started shooting up the top part of it. He should be dead. The falling onto the plane and all the crap that happened. He should be dead. The elevator shaft where he's fighting Maggie Q when he drives the car. Which, by the way, all he needed to do was brake. All you gotta do is hit her. She's dead. She should have been dead.
Is this the movie that has the fucking elevator scene that Winter Soldier rips off?
Yeah.
Is it this one?
Yeah.
Right? Where he's in the elevator and he knows everybody's like fucking.
Yeah.
No, that's Die Hard
No.
Two.
That's
Die Hard 2.
That's 2. That's another thing about Die Hard 2 that's actually good.
3. It's 3. They're trapped in the elevator.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it's 3. Yeah, because they play the
Right.
lotto numbers. Yeah.
It's 3. But I forget. Yeah. But no, this was the elevator shaft where Maggie.
Dude, I love when he finally kills her and he just has this exuberant, fucking joyful like exclamation.
He kills her and like he's more like action star. Like he's what the Fast and the Furious movies went into after the first few. Yeah, after Fast 5, this is John McClane now. He's been through some shit. He's seen it. Now, we ain't talked about that last piece of shit. Oh, I'm sorry. We ain't talking about the last movie. We're talking about this one. This one, I'm okay with it. Everything about it. The 2007 references, the shitty Nokia phones, the dumb triangulation of the satellites, doing an actual fire sale, which we probably need to do a fire sale now and just get it over with. There are a lot of things that hit home with news reports and how 9/11 was and the paranoia and all the stuff that we had.
You're right. Very post 9/11.
It's very post 9/11. The fact that Timothy Olyphant takes over like the defense system with a laptop. It's so it's crazy as fuck. Some of it is implausible. I get it. But for some reason in this movie, I forgive it. So I will also give this one a 4.5 because I enjoy this fucking film. I really do. I like how Justin Long kind of almost has chemistry with Mary Elizabeth Winstead, like there for like a few minutes. And she's like, "Do you get it?" He's badass. He has his moments where he's badass. Kevin Smith is annoying as fuck in this movie. There's just a lot of different things that are weird that I don't like, but I'm okay with. It's something about this movie. I'm all right with it. I'm fine with it. 4.5.
Hell yeah. 4.5 from Jelani. That makes me happy, man. I think I'm actually changing a statement that I made earlier in this show, but
I was gonna get to a 4.5 regardless.
we'll get to that. Like I don't know. There's something, and like I love how like the first one and the second one, they're like Christmas movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a 4th of July movie. So it's very appropriate to be talking about this week. So happy Independence Day, right? But like this is a 4th of July movie that I think is actually, I'd rather watch this than Independence Day, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
like, I don't know what it is. I can credit a lot of it to Timothy, but there's something about this movie I really, really fucking enjoy. Like, this is a movie where I can just turn off the brain and just fucking enjoy. But even there's a point to me where this movie, and this is kind of what I think this movie's ahead of its time in, is it's like talk about the generations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Joe, I see your face, but like, no.
Did Last Crusade not happen?
Jesus.
But did I say Indiana Jones? What the fuck? What?
No,
what?
you said this was ahead of its time because it did that thing that Last Crusade didn't do about the generations and all that. Continue.
What? Anyway, I like how it's actually playing with the idea of Justin Long representing this new generation and John McClane actually kind of like coming against it, right? So it's like an old guy versus a young guy thing, but there's actually nuance to it. If they made this movie today, Justin Long would be right about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And Justin Long would be right about everything and Bruce Willis wouldn't, right? But to me, there's a little bit more nuance. Whatever. I like this movie. Brooks, what do you think about Live Free or Die Hard?
This movie's all right. It's a decent Die Hard movie, I think. Like, it's not as bad as 2, but it's not as good as 3. It's definitely not as good as 1. And like, there's a lot of the things that, like, you know, I think it kind of goes on a downhill slant with John McClane is when they start trying to morph him into like your typical action hero. So it goes from being like John McClane to being like the Punisher.
That's
it's not as bad in this movie as it gets, but like, you know, you can see they're kind of going that way. They're trying to make him like, oh, he's action star, you know, like he's super. And like, you know, McClane has a certain level of competency to him, but like a lot of his, like, especially early on, it was just dumb luck that he wasn't killed in the first Die Hard. But, you know, it is still a pretty fun movie. Like, you know, it's got that kind of like a surveillance state storyline. And like, you know, I remember this, like back in the days, this whole deal where, like, you know, the big scary thing is like, oh, a group of super hackers could come together and they could just destroy the entire world. And I'm just thinking about like all of these like greasy losers on their keyboards typing away to try and fucking like break through security protocols and shit. It's just silly, but, you know, it is still pretty fun. And like, I don't think the villain in this movie, like the fucking, I guess he's like kind of a Steve Jobs-esque tech guy who was like working with the State Department or whatever. Like, I don't think he's not a Gruber, so, you know, he doesn't quite hit the highs of like, say, a Die Hard 3.
So you telling me if he was the second cousin of Hans Gruber, you'd be okay?
Yeah,
with
they should have done Elsa Gruber, dude.
Elsa Gruber.
Yeah, I give it
this
some
is Elsa's son, man. You don't even know that, right? It's headcanon. This is Elsa's son.
Yeah, yeah. This is Hans' nephew.
Yeah. You killed my parents.
So what did you rate it, Brooks?
I give it a 3. Trace.
Damn, with all that stuff, right. I thought you were gonna rate it higher. Okay.
Mm.
You're pretty harsh on Die Hard movies compared to your opinions on shit like Pagemaster. It's just really weird. It's just really weird.
What did you
I support you, Brooks.
I think Brooks is harsher on some of the Die Hard movies than he was the Police Academy franchise, but whatever. By the way, Joe, you asked me how many people want to watch this movie. We're over 1,000 views on the Police Academy franchise, so that was my goal. So we did
Yes, I love it.
it. Joe, what do you think about Live Free or Die Hard? I don't think it's good.
No, I don't like it. I don't hate it. It's not close to a good movie. It looks like every other fucking movie that came out within like that 5-year window. It's shot the same, it's lit the same, the action scenes all look the same. It's a fucking bore. This is basically like I mean, I guess how Die Hard revolutionized Hollywood and everything. Die Hard 4 is really a template for geezer teasers. It's the same fucking this revolutionized grandpas going to red boxes in the 2010s when they hit the grocery store. This is every other fucking movie in that red box. It's shit like that. It's oh, bad thing, gotta have a young kid hack, old man no hack. You hack computer, we save America, 4th of July. That's every geezer teaser. It's the same fucking bullshit.
They should put Clint Eastwood in this motherfucker, man.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. It's just and whereas Die Hard with a Vengeance started it on the course of Die Hard becoming a very derivative franchise, this is what cemented that, because it wears all of its influences on its sleeves while influencing nobody. Which is a shame. You could mark this as you waited 12 fucking years to give me an even more derivative Die Hard movie. That was it. That was the nail in the coffin. This movie, Oh yeah, no.
Fast Five was inspired by this.
Ugh.
In terms of elevating the franchise from the way it was, there's a lot of inspiration. If we're talking about bombastic,
what are you fucking talking about?
That these people pulled off previously. Fast Five.
Talking about. That's
where
do they say that?
I see what Link is saying, because I see this as a bridge between Born Identity and Fast Five.
What do you No, I'm shutting that down. No. So yeah, 2.5. I'm good.
Our 2.5. All right, Steph. When we talked about Die Hard 3 years ago, the bold statement you made was that Live Free or Die Hard was your favorite of the Die Hard franchise sequels. Your favorite of the sequels. Not saying that you liked it better than the first one, but your favorite of the sequels. I'm curious where you stand today. What do you think?
Oh, I absolutely stand by that. I think it took John McClane that let's not act like, if we're talking about crazy ass action scenes, let's not act like the other two movies didn't start that shit. They were the catalyst for that. This movie just took that and refined it for the modern age. The sidekick aspect, yeah, you could say the rapport was better with Sam Jackson, but plot-wise, it gave a reason for why Justin Long stuck around to the end. He was necessary to the plot, where Sam Jackson really wasn't. Yeah, there's a lot. That's if you compare this to Die Hard 1, yes, he is almost damn near invincible, but it keeps that element of putting John McClane in a unfamiliar situation, and he's just gotta, by true grit, pull himself out of that.
These movies are influenced by Westerns, so the fact that you say he's got that true grit is actually kind of on the money, right?
But I like that they introduced the kid element. The last movie just took everything any previous movie had done. It's just we'll take this and that, and then we'll boom, hit. It wasn't. But then jumping too far ahead. But this movie, I did like that they worked in the daughter aspect. We didn't really. We got the wife in the first two. Mention of the kids in the first one. She was mentioned in the third, but we didn't see her. So it's they pull it back to the family element. He's having issues with his family. I liked Mary Kate. I don't know her name. Mary Kate
Winstead?
Elizabeth Winstead.
Winstead.
Yeah. But she was really
She was
cool.
a death
She
proof.
had,
She was the cheerleader.
she died so early on.
She's the huntress, man.
No, oh yeah,
Yeah,
she was
she's-
that huntress. Yeah. But no, I could definitely see how people have gripes about how this is not the John McClane from 1, but neither is 2 or 3. He was doing some crazy shit. He's out running the fucking tidal wave in the tunnels and shit like that in 3. He's hanging off the side of an airplane in 2. He was doing some crazy shit. So
in this
yes, it
one,
was a
a
little
jet
bit
shows up at the end and he jumps on top of the fucking jet, doesn't
He
he?
just on a jet.
following
He's
the
the
cat,
most-
they're
He's
following
the most
It's
John
dumb as
McClane
shit, and I
will
love it so
be in this
much.
movie.
No,
Ever.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. You could say it's far-fetched, but they do it well. Like, yeah, he should have broken every bone in his body when he's driving that damn taxi off the ramp into that helicopter. But it's dope as fuck. It's dope, It looks cool. I just think it was a great. John McClane. It had that element of kind of like not really No Country for Old Men, but that theme of that movie was like Tommy Lee Jones was not prepared for what crime had evolved into, And John McClane almost wasn't ready for what war or crime was in the modern age, but he was a true John McClane fashion. He pulled himself out of that. I just think it's a fun movie. I'm gonna give this one a 4 out of 5.
Very nice. Very nice. All right. So I'm actually going to do something, and this is the beauty of these PCP movie nights, is that I came at this. I already said tonight, Die Hard with a Vengeance is my favorite Die Hard sequel, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually going to disagree with what I said earlier, but that's okay. Don't worry. I can have 2 conflicting ideas in my head at the same time. I got to get out a paradox free card. I actually think this is my favorite, and I'm going to rate it higher than Die Hard with a Vengeance. I'm going to give it a 4. I'm going to give this a 4. And because I don't give a shit. Joe Brooks, I feel everything y'all are saying. I get it.
Yeah.
But I don't give a shit. Like, for some reason about this movie, I just don't give a shit. Like, it just works for me. I fucking love it, dude. I have so much fun watching this movie. Yeah, it looks like every other fucking movie that came out since The Matrix or Bourne Identity and for the next fucking 10 years, right? It looks like all of them, right? It's doing these ridiculous action set pieces in which none of the characters should survive. None of them. Bystanders, villains, or heroes. Nobody should make it through this fucking movie. It's over the top where it's like the American flag in Washington, D.C. By the way, the second Die Hard movie set in Washington. It'd be cool if it was like a Bond thing where there was like different cities spotlighted in every Die Hard movie. And for the most part, it is. And honestly, we didn't get a lot of DC out of Die Hard 2 because that takes place at the DC airport, which is actually like what? 45 minutes away from DC or some shit like that.
Oh yeah, no, it's not that close.
Yeah,
to DC,
and I think it was filmed in Denver because I got really confused because I was listening to the commentary. So I was like, "What the fuck is the reason why this dude made Die Hard 2? The guy that did The Adventures of Ford McFarlane, right? Like, why did he do fucking Die Hard 2? And he's like, he keeps talking about Denver, and I'm like, did you do this in the Denver airport, like the Denver airport? Then I realized it was before that Denver airport, like right before, I think. Anyway. Ooh. So that Denver airport, look into it. It's some creepy ass shit going on there, man. That horse, those murals, whatever. New World Order. It's happening. I fucking love this movie. I can like the easy thing for me to do is credit all to Timothy Olyphant because Brooks and Jelani have known me the longest out of everybody here. Y'all know I've always loved Timothy Olyphant.
You have.
I've always loved that dude. And I used to even say, he's not really great as the Die Hard villain, but I still like him in that movie. No, I really do think he's good in that movie because he's cold as fuck. He doesn't blow up a whole plane, but he has no questions about killing his own people or doing his own fucking thing. I think he's a really great villain. And I think the movie is tighter structurally than Die Hard with a Vengeance. It doesn't ever slow up for me. It keeps ramping it up. And I love John McClane in this. And I love that Justin Long, Bruce Willis, generational kind of thing that they're pulling at. Yeah, Last Crusade. That's a movie that did the generational divide very, very well, Joe. Right? Very, very well. I'm not saying this movie does it as well, but this movie's got Timothy Olyphant in it. And to me, there ain't.
That's true.
That's all I'm trying to say.
You're right, Robbie.
I have a major thing for Timothy Olyphant, so I'm going to give this one a 4. So and rate this as my second favorite Die Hard movie and my favorite Die Hard sequel, which gives us a PCP average of 3.69, which I think is very appropriate. All right. I think we're all going to be on the same page here. The shortest Die Hard film is also, in my opinion, the weakest Die Hard film. A Good Day to Die Hard. I had only ever seen this one time when it came out in movie theaters. And I remember being underwhelmed, right? Like severely. I had not seen it since. Even though I've owned this for a while, I have watched these movies multiple times, except I've never watched the disc for the fifth film. A Good Day to Die Hard is directed by John Moore. I don't know who the fuck he is. He did Behind Enemy Lines and this movie. I don't know what the fuck that means, but it doesn't mean many good things. It's written by Skip Woods, who wrote Swordfish, Hitman, and co-wrote X-Men Origins Wolverine and the A-Team.
Oh,
Christ.
oh fuck,
I think we just dissected why this movie fucking blows, and that's what I think about it. This movie fucking sucks. So last night I got home. My girlfriend is finally getting back into her place. She had a flood earlier this year, and after months and months of trying to remodel her house, she's finally back in there. So I spent all day yesterday, or most of the day yesterday, going over there and helping her out, right? And I was like, I got to get home, though, at a certain point so I can watch this fifth, the Die Hard movie that I've been putting off, right? And I got home and I put it on. I was like, man, this movie's only like an hour and 40 minutes on the extended cut. I feel good about this. All right, this is going to be the tightest Die Hard movie yet. Because I didn't really remember much except for it's him and his fucking son, right? And in the trailer, what's crazy is in the trailer, his daughter's in the trailer. But they cut that shit right out of the movie, man. They cut it right out of the movie. They cut Mary out of the fucking movie. Can you believe that? So this came out in 2013. It's got the first movie appearance by Jai Courtney, who played Boomerang and Suicide Squad and The Flash and or all that shit, right?
Terminator Jen Weiss's is as well.
It is so bad because John McClane is not John McClane. Now I get that people are saying he's different in certain movies versus this movie. To Live Free or Die Hard, it's not the same John McClane, blah, blah, blah. No, this is the movie where he's just old and rolling over and getting hit by shit. He is not John McClane. He's not out there in a situation that just spurs of the moment that he's got to deal with, right?
He flew to it. And it's so fucking weird structurally in the beginning with the way they edited it. And I think they put it together way too tight, right? Where there's not really much of a sense of where he is and where he's been into where we're going, right? So he goes and he's hunting down for his son. He's a spy. He wrecks their whole fucking thing, blah, 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 blah. This movie's just shit. Who's the villain? Who's the villain in this movie? Is it the dude they're trying to save? Is it the dude eating the fucking carrot? Is it the hot chick who's the daughter of the main villain? Like, who is it? None of these villains are compelling. I don't give a fuck what you think about Die Hard 1, 2, 3, or 4. Timothy Olyphant, Alan Rickman, Jeremy Irons, and fucking William Sadler are compelling villains in some form or fashion. There's no compelling villain. You immediately lose what makes a Die Hard movie when you take away this. The heroism of John McClane, which I think they did, and the compelling and engaging nature of the main villain, which they did here as well. I think this movie fucking sucks. I will never watch this movie again. Now that we've done the franchise, it's done. It's over. I don't give a shit. This movie fucking sucks. His son is lifeless. The enemies are lifeless. John McClane is lifeless. And it is what Joe was saying about Live Free or Die Hard. This movie is even worse. It is so derivative. It is so just like, here's a paint by the fucking numbers, and we can't even fucking be confident enough to give you 20 minutes of any
fucking characterization. This movie blows. Jelani, what do you think about A Good Day to Die Hard?
Fuck this movie. Oh, fuck this movie. I hate this movie so much. I didn't watch it in the theater. I was gonna watch a bootleg copy of it, and I was like 2 minutes into the bootleg, and it was all in Russian. And it didn't have translation at the very beginning of the bootleg, and I was like, not watching it. Then I watched it for the very first time today. Fuck this movie. Jack Courtney is trash, by the way. They were trying to make Jack Courtney a thing. He is not a thing. He has never been a thing. I am so glad that he's not a thing. The best part of him,
his best thing was Boomerang, actually. In my opinion.
He was Boomerang. And then that's what kind of saved him until James Gunn corrected it by killing his ass in the Suicide Squad. A spoiler alert. It is trash. He's in Terminator Genisys, and Genisys is trash.
I love that you call it Genisys, though. You still respect the movie enough to give it its proper pronunciation.
Yeah, Genisys. It's trash. This movie is so trash. Yeah, the villains are nonsensical. It's a double twist, and it's a double twist. I could have been like, I don't care. John flies to his problem to go get his son. There's so many dumb contrived things in this. The CGI is terrible. The sequence in the courthouse where there's an explosion, everyone there should be dead. 3 bombs went off right in front of a courthouse, right on the wall, the side of the courthouse, and no one's alive. God, the nondescript dancer guy. The fact that they called him the dancer, and I didn't give a shit that he was the dancer in that movie.
He's so bad, dude.
He's so bad, and he can't dance. That's the worst part. Then
he can't eat a carrot either, man.
He was just so bad.
Shoot him up. That's how you eat a carrot.
That's how you eat a carrot. He's just eating a carrot like it's his character motivation. That's his jam. He eats carrots. They were in fucking Chernobyl and got fucking irradiated. Everyone there is irradiated.
Don't worry. They sprayed the shit on it, man. It's all good, dude.
And they had the magic foam.
Yeah, that magic foam that's okay, and it removes. But they didn't listen. John and Jack drove through radiation, walked in a hallway of radiation, did entire things in radiation before they got to the special room. I was sitting there the whole time. I was like, what the fuck is this?
That was the original title of the film, was Die Hard and Radiation.
I was like, who wrote this?
Die Hard, in parentheses, of radiation poisoning.
Of radiation poisoning. That's how he died. A good day to die hard of radiation.
And you know what's great about that is because the ending is like, they're still in Chernobyl, right?
They're still in Chernobyl. They're still in Russia. He's wanted for murder. He's in prison. They're hurt.
Yeah.
What they gonna call the CIA? The CIA left them. Cole Hauser, that was in the movie for like 5 minutes because it's in pitch black. He's 2 minutes. He's fucking dead.
Dude, I got so excited. I was like, Cole Hauser's in this movie.
They stole a car from gangsters. There's no ending.
Dude, I'll tell you this. I'll be honest. When they lifted up the cars and they saw the dead body, I laughed. I did. That's the one moment I laughed in this movie, man. But a Die Hard movie makes you laugh, right?
Now let me get you to this. Jack Courtney and fucking John McClane, they don't have any chemistry together as father and son. Not a bit.
No.
But the thing is, not at all.
Not even with the idea that it's like an estranged relationship.
No.
Right?
Even the part, not at all. Not the part where they're talking about, they're reminiscing over the times Jack was in jail and all this. I was like, nobody gives a fuck. They both don't play it up. Even the part, well, I will give it credit for one thing. And it was towards the end, right before they raid the place and dying of radiation poisoning. And John looks over at Jack and tells him, I love you, boy. And it was just, I don't know what it was about this scene. All of a sudden, I'm like, I buy this now. That's the only part of this movie I bought, though. because everything else is trash. They should have died like 42 times. Everyone should be dead. In fact, they are dead. That's why these movies ended. That and Bruce Willis has aphasia, which is like this weird part of dementia that he was going through during this part. Now, Good Day to Die. I mean, Live Free or Die Hard. I'm pretty sure he was going through it too, but not as bad.
Yeah,
he was definitely going through it in this movie because they kept the scene in where he repeated himself like it was going to be a joke, but I'm pretty sure he repeated himself and they just kept it in the movie. Like they were talking about, he was like, Chernobyl? You mean the part where they have radiation? And then like towards the end of that scene, he says it again, but it's like he's asking it for the first time. But they were just like, fuck it, we're going to keep that in. We're not going to do, they probably did 20 takes at that time. So I get it. The man is sick. He's not up to speed because he's screaming, I'm on vacation, like every part, and it's not funny. Every time he says it, it's not funny. He damn near kills people in a G-Wagon driving over their cars. He does so many reckless stuff.
That's the biggest. The biggest problem to me in this movie is that John McClane is not. He doesn't feel like John McClane in this movie.
Not at all.
He's a robot. Nope. He's a dead zombie robot that's moving around with strings. He's terrible. He's not that. They should have had more dynamic with him and the black dude at the beginning of the movie where he's doing target practice. They should have had some kind of dynamic where they were there or Jai Courtney is in America because they should have been in Russia. They didn't make the cab driver worth a damn. They make the cab driver scene and the cab driver's not useful later. Oh, how the fuck that happens? You know what I'm saying? You don't introduce a character like that. Like Jerry from the third movie, the truck driver that drove through the aqueduct. And he was telling the fun facts about the fucking aqueduct and all the shit. It runs into the spillway and blah, 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 blah. You know, and you didn't have that character. You didn't have a Marvin from 2 that's helping out. You didn't have Carl Winslow from 3. You didn't have anyone. It was just, there's no guy in a chair. There's nobody there that's helping them. It's just these two. It's just a good day. A good day of the father and son romping and killing. And it's just, y'all should be dead. Like, the dancer should have killed y'all. In the very beginning, in the first car chase, all y'all should have been dead. It was so many dumb things. Why would I'm sorry, I'm going too far. I'm talking too long, but why? I have to ask because this is the first time I've seen this movie all the way through. Why the fuck does the bad guy of this movie escape with Jai Courtney to go to the CIA being chased by his guys? And his guys are like gonna kill him. Sorry, I'm coughing now. It just makes me so mad. I'm so sad that this movie is so fucking mind-numbingly bad. It pisses me off. It's so painful that a movie hurts this much to watch. So I'm gonna give it gets a 0.5. I will never watch this movie. It is hot dog shit.
Yeah. The infamous 0.5.
It is so bad. I would have gave it a 0, but that one, I love you, boy, kind of almost saves it from being a 0.
The problem to me in that scene is when he goes, Jai Courtney goes, "You too." And I'm like, that's like, forced. That's forced as fuck. It's like the relationship between him and his daughter
way better.
Works better for me and Live Free or Die Hard than this one. But that's just me. Brooks, though, is the PCPer with the critical eye. What do you think about Good Day to Die Hard, my man?
I think y'all are being too hard on this movie. It's not that bad.
Get the fuck out of here. Are you fucking around with us?
Yeah, I'm kidding. It's bad. I hate it. It's like, this is like the movie where John McClane, it's like, John McClane being an asshole is kind of like, a recurring motif of the Die Hard movies. But he always has like a certain like amiability to his assholeness. Not in this movie. They just like crank the asshole dial all the way up. And they make him like old man Rambo, and it's boring. And I hate his son, and I hate their stupid little bickering contest.
Yep.
And like it's dumb and boring. I don't remember, like I can hardly remember what happens in this fucking movie. It's like a bunch of it's spy shit. Like I'm not I
Dude,
can't
Police
enjoy
Academy
a spy.
Mission to Moscow is better than this shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like I have a hard time following spy shit sometimes. Like but a good spy movie I can enjoy. This is not a good spy movie. It's just like let's do like a 007 movie, but we'll have like John McClane show up, and 007 is annoying, and he's John McClane's son, and even the action is kind of dull in this movie. It's like
he has the best gun in this movie, though.
And
there's nothing there.
And there's no good villain.
Yeah.
Right, Brooks? There's no good villain in this movie.
Yeah.
So
It's like I don't give a shit about any of these villains. Well, I kind of like the daughter. Like I wish they'd have done more with her and played her.
Well,
up.
I understand that.
Yeah. You get it. But they didn't. They just like fucking. I don't care about anybody in this movie, and I'm just like waiting for it to be over. It's like 2, but worse. I give this movie a 1.
whoa.
I'm not being generous. I'm just giving it 1 for the Die Hard name.
Damn.
I think we're gonna. I'm curious to see what happens here. Joe, A Good Day to Die Hard. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, all of my gripes with 4 are like exponentially increased in this movie. Like the amount that Bruce Willis apparently ages between between Die Hard with a Vengeance and Live Free or Die Hard, and then between this, like it's like he aged twice as much in half the amount of time. He is. I know before I criticize, he's not as with it. Like he's not as charming in the previous movie compared to the first 3. Like he's just not. He's not nearly on the top of his game. He's just older, and he's just at a slower pace. Here, it's horrible. Again, like no chemistry with the son. The son just pissed me off, like so much of it. And it's like you're yelling at your old feeble father who's being thrown around in explosions like a rag doll, who's died maybe 9 times in this movie. I'm pretty sure he says I'm on vacation line like 12 times. And also, is he on vacation? No. It feels like he's not. So why keep saying that? It is mercifully shorter, but whereas this movie, whereas the previous movie, I felt was sort of like an inspiration for Geezer Teasers, this is like a full-fledged direct to Redbox quality movie.
It's like shorter, but it doesn't feel shorter.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. It's a damn shame.
But it really feels like the kind of movies that like I watch with my grandpa when I go visit him. He loves those like, oh man, super low budget action movie from like the Redbox or some like action movie that's streaming free on Plex. It's like, oh yeah, let's get it. It's like not even Tubi, Plex. But but no, it's rough. My problems with the lighting and how the previous one was shot, it's so much worse here. Like they really lean into bad style in this movie. It feels cheaper than it is. And you never want your movie to feel cheaper than your budget to like that degree. It's hard. Whereas it's hard to overstate the importance of Die Hard in pop culture. It's impossible to overstate how shitty this movie is. But so for this one, and again, like it feels like he was like court ordered to do this. Like this movie, and but like I mean, it's that, or Or leading into what Jolene was saying before, like his mind was starting to go around then. Did he sign on to this movie early and push for it because he knew he'd get a bigger check from this than those geezer teasers he does? And he was like, I need to start stacking that money away now because it's going to be a problem soon. So that also makes it kind of sad, which is great. It's like, this movie sucks and it's bumming me out. That's awful. So I got to give it a 0.5.
A 0.5. All right.
She should.
Fuck yeah. All right. We'll see what happens here. All right. So far, aside from the very beginning of this stream, we're all in agreement. We're in a circle jerk with Die Hard, right? I feel like now we're in the anti-circle jerk of A Good Day to Die Hard. Steph, it's up to you. What do you think?
I won't be changing that notion. This movie was hot garbage. Anything you love about Die Hard from any of the previous movies is not present in this movie. Or it's just taken for and done in a shitty way. Like the Live Free Die Hard thing, where it's like that introduces the kid element and the sidekick. We're gonna combine the two, so his kid is his sidekick. It's shit. The quips. Oh god, the quips are fucking terrible in this movie. This is where I think this movie takes inspiration from Fast Five, like the whole tank scene, where they're driving the bank vault, down the highway, just destroying shit. He's in that tanker, riding over the top of fucking cars. Cars are getting fucking flipped over. People are flying out their windshields and shit. People are dying. He's like, I'm sorry, making quips and shit like that. And then it reminded me of when people gave Man of Steel and Transformers 3 a bad rep because, but at least in that situation, in Transformers 3, Earth is being taken over. They're outnumbered. They got to fight guerrilla warfare style, mitigate as much damage as possible. Man of Steel, once again, he's outnumbered, but he's ill-prepared. He's never taken anything like this on, so understandably, there's going to be damage. This guy, Bruce Willis, has been through all this shit, or John McClane, gives zero fucks about the lives costing to help his son, and he still doesn't know quite what is going on.
Yeah,
but he's still making jokes.
He always cares about collateral damage in these films. Even in the intense tunnel scene in Live Free or Die Hard, he's like, you go check on those people in those cars. I'm gonna drive this car into this fucking helicopter, right?
Yep.
Right, and that's missing in this movie. You're right.
Not exist in this film. This is not John McClane.
It's not John.
When they dude gets shot through the head, and it's then the dude gets shot in the arm. John McClane's son grabs him and he ducks to the ground. These are dudes in tactical gear. John McClane stands there with a fucking gun and nails. He doesn't move, not one time. Just stands there and blows every one of them away as they run through the door. John McClane is invincible in this movie. He's not the guy.
He's got Star Wars level plot armor in this movie, where it's just every fucking thing is just going past him, man. No matter what.
Through buildings and windows and all this shit. No glasses on.
Not by the skin of his teeth. He's making it look like it's another Tuesday for him. And that's never been John McClane's thing. The whole the rapport or the energy between him and his son fucking sucks. When they're sitting there, they take the dude to his daughter and they're having a moment, and he's like, you want a hug? And they kind of look at each other we're not a hugging family. Someone in the editing room looked at that shit and was like, yes, the audience is gonna love this shit. It was fucking terrible. Terrible dialogue, stifled performances. It hurts that this is the last movie of the franchise, an absolute fucking stain on it. Up until this point, I got my gripes with 2, but this movie is fucking trash. Even 2 is not a blasphemous stain on the legacy of the franchise like this movie is.
Nor 4.
Nor 4. I can see people who love just explosions and shit, they're probably gonna love this movie, but that's about it. There's action scenes and shit. They don't really make sense. Story doesn't really make sense. Characters, relationships, nothing really makes sense. But there's explosions and gunfire. So if you appreciate that, you will appreciate this movie. With that being said, I'll give this a 1.5. One, because it's ass, but the 0.5 is because you gotta expect the other 4 movies. I gotta give it like a legacy. But this movie, you're better off if you've never seen this movie. Don't watch it. Just pretend it never happened. 4 is truly the last Die Hard movie. You know, this movie is not Die Hard in any sense, spiritual sense. It's just a dude with a gun, you know. But this movie's garbage. Make no mistake.
I'm gonna tell you this, Steph. We all hate this movie. And you are actually, I think, very kind to this movie. Because you gave it a 1.5. Joe gave it a 0.5. Brooks, who I thought would be the most kind to this movie, gave it a 1. Jelani gave it a 0.5. I'm going to give it a 0.5 as well. The reason why I give it a 0.5 is this. It's in this fucking collection. So I own it. It's a Die Hard fucking movie. I don't give any fucking credits or fucks for any of the rest of this movie. I won't make any apology for this movie. Live Free or Die Hard. Joe, you want to get together? You want to go to Carnegie Hall and have a discussion about this movie? We'll do it. Right?
Sure.
This movie? No. Not Good Day to Die Hard. In fact, Jelani and I, back in the early 2000s, would have called this movie a garbage day to Die Hard.
Yes,
and it is. It is sad this is the final one. I think if Live Free or Die Hard was the final one, we would at least be like,
I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, it's an older John McClane, this and that. No, because here's the fucking shit. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to a 0.
Okay.
I'm going to a 0.069. I'll take it a little bit lower, a 0.069. Why? Because this movie's also trying to be a fucking legacy movie.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie, your name's Jack. Well, I'm John McClane Jr. Oh, you trying to sell us on a new Die Hard franchise with Jai Courtney's fucking John McClane Jr.? Fuck you. You ain't fooling me. This movie blows. So that's a PCP average. Let's just say
0.69.
a 0.68. Because it's not worthy of the 69, my man. No. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a 0.68. They still owe us one with Die Hard, and we're never going to get it. We're never going to get it. And it fucking blows. It really does. Mary, what's her name? Mary Elizabeth Winstead? Is that her name?
Yes.
That's correct.
Yeah.
The only hope we have is a Die Hard movie where John McClane has passed away and Jack McClane has passed away. And it's up to Mary now to save us from Elsa fucking Gruber.
Elsa Gruber.
We just wrote Die Hard 6 for y'all. There you go. Yep. You got everything you want, Hollywood. We got the gender swapping of roles. There's never been a female villain. There's never been a female lead. Like, it's still legacy. It's still tied in. There you go. That's what you do. And I think Mary can handle it. I really do. Because
she's got the same attitude.
She's hot. She's great in Scott Pilgrim. I'm sorry, dude. Every time I reread Scott Pilgrim more than I watch it, and it's Mary to me. Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, we don't like the last one. And we all love the first one. And we're all kind of in the middle about 2, 3, and 4, which is interesting. This has been a cool conversation.
Yeah.
Join us next week as we continue PCP ActionFest with RoboCop. Y'all, I'm so excited. We're finally talking about RoboCop here on the channel. It's going to be a great time next week. Jelani, thank you so much for being here. Final thoughts.
Oh man, this was great. I was really happy to do this one because I love watching Die Hard, and any excuse to watch Die Hard is freaking amazing. The sequels, off and on, not so much, but definitely Die Hard because I'm watching it Christmas. I mean, I watch Christmas Day every year. It'll be 16 years this year, so I'm very excited. It's just one of those films that, like you said, Joe, it transcends some shit. It really does. Yep. And I'm glad to be a part of this one because I hate that I missed the last one. Let's see. Yep, Brooks and I do Go Figure reviews. We had a giveaway, by the way, for our She-Hulk. We have a winner that was MTB214. Thank you. If you want to contact us through a message or something like that, if you're even watching the show, hey, you want a She-Hulk, we're gonna mail it to you. We also did a couple videos. One of our videos, let's see, we'll do Lucius Fox and Tumblr. That was the Batmobile. We did. That's where we announced the winner. So check that out. It's pretty cool. And we also did another video that's coming out. This is the YOLO Park Optimus Prime. This is the Transformer that does not transform. It's a model kit. And it's an awesome model kit. So check both those videos out. That one will come out pretty soon. But the Tumblr and Lucius Fox is already out. So check us out. Go figure reviews.
Hell yeah. Brooks, thank you so much for being here. Sorry to put you through the Die Hard franchise, but you're pretty kind to some of these movies, I will say. But Brooks, final thoughts, man.
And Alexander wept when he saw this review, for there were no diehards left to conquer. The benefits of a classical education.
We should just end it there, right? All right. Joe, thank you so much for being here. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Yeah. And I know you got some things out on shelves and some things in the works. What you got coming up?
Well, final thoughts with that. You should still pick up DC Pride, a celebration of Rachel Pollack. Let's get this to sell out. Why not? If you can still order it, people, ask your stores, order it. Let's go. Let's get rid of this thing. Come on. And then I also have Kardak the Mystic #1, a one-shot from Archie, out August 14th. It looks incredible. The artwork that Butch Map is doing on that. I'm beyond impressed.
Dude, that's 5 days before Horror Fest. That's great.
Yeah, that is great. But no, people should really check that out. And then you can still get King Arthur and the Knights of Justice, Volume 1 available now. Amazon, Maverick's website, and all of that. People should order it so that way they have to do a Volume 2 and ask me to do it. I would love to do that. So please let that happen by ordering Volume 1.
Steph, thank you so much for being here. Missing a link. Why don't you tell us what's coming up for you?
Every Wednesday, we're at Dr. Doom's Fan Club, a little show called Supreme Clientele. We talk about comics. Sometimes older comics. This week we're just talking about weekly releases, but Brother Stu, Dr. Doom's Fan Club, Supreme Clientele, 9 o'clock on Wednesdays, 9 o'clock Eastern, 9:30 to be correct. But yeah, and don't watch A Good Day to Die Hard. Please don't.
Never.
A garbage day to die hard.
It's garbage day to die hard.
What a garbage day.
Amazing.
I think Garbage Day is better than that movie.
It is garbage, yeah.
Like, yeah. And I fucking hate Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. I really do. So for my final thoughts, join us next week as we continue Action Fest with RoboCop. Y'all, it's been a long time coming. We got a great panel assorted for that night. That panel is, I hit the wrong button. That panel is going to be me, Jelani, and Brooks, Joe Corallo, Hammer Time Whole Shoes from Michigan, and Verno, but not our man Link, who is the most attributed to Detroit, but we'll try to do you justice. But Fable's been telling me, who do I got to take out to be on this show, bro? I'm like, bro, that was the one that filled up first. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. Because RoboCop is great. We're going to be talking about RoboCop next week, y'all. So your homework assignment, watch RoboCop, and then join us next Monday night at 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Mountain, 6 p.m. Pacific. If you're outside of that, sorry, do the math yourself. But it's going to be a great show. And, yeah, I guess my final thoughts will be, fuck the yippee-ki-yay things. How's the same fucking thing happen to the same dude 5 fucking times? 4.5, let's be honest. That last movie doesn't count. That's 4. How the same shit happened to the same dude 4 times?
There you go.